The COMESA Competition Commission, which we commonly refer to as the Commission, is one of the institutions of COMESA, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa. COMESA is a regional economic community which was established in 1994 by the treaty establishing the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa. COMESA comprises of 21 member states, all the way from Tunisia in the north down to Eswatini in the south, including the Indian Ocean Islands. One of the focus areas of COMESA is the formation of a large economic and trading area promoting trade and investment in the common market. In order to achieve this, member states agreed to prohibit any practices that negate the objective of free and liberalized trade. Specifically, through Article 55 of the COMESA Treaty, member states agreed to prohibit any agreement between undertakings or concerted practices which have as their object or effect the prevention, restriction, or distortion of competition in the common market and affect trade between member states. In 2004, we enacted the COMESA competition regulations in accordance with Article 55 of the COMESA Treaty. Article 6 of these regulations established the Commission, whose mandate it is to enforce the regulations to promote and encourage competition by preventing restrictive business practices and other restrictions that deter the efficient operation of markets. In this way, enhancing the welfare of consumers in the common market, as well as protecting consumers from offensive conduct by market actors. Therefore, the mandate of the Commission is to ensure that businesses operating in the common market do not effect artificial barriers to trade, which can frustrate the regional economic agenda.
Starting the COMESA Competition Commission was really an exciting moment for me and my team. This was the first on the Africa continent to have a regional competition authority. You find that most of the regional communities in Africa, they have the provision in their statutes which call for the establishment of regional competition authorities. But up to now, COMESA still stands the only region which has a regional competition authority. We started our operation in 2011 when I was appointed, and from 2011 up to 2013 thereabout, we embarked on an awareness campaign. As you know, competition was not only new at the regional level, but also at the national level. In most of our member states, we didn't have national competition authorities, so it was difficult for them to appreciate the regional competition authority. So what we did was to go around the countries to tell them, sensitize them on the provision of Article 55 of the COMESA Treaty, which provides for the establishment of competition law which will govern the common market. After going around the countries, and that took about a year from the time I was appointed, that was 2011. In 2013, we opened our doors and we had our first notifications. Apart from that, before that, we did the phased out recruitment. Our first recruitment consisted of, I think, the directors or the managers. We recruited the manager, mergers and acquisition, the legal manager, the consumer manager, and district business practices manager, who were about 6 in number when we started the commission. We had the head of the accounting unit, and the secretariat consisted only of one person. So we are 6 in number. Then before we opened the doors, we had to start drafting the enabling statutes, the laws which support the enforcement of the regulations. We did the market definition laws, abuse of dominance, restrictive business practices, and the other accompanying laws. After that, we went through to do the appropriate forms and templates to be used to support the notification of the various aspects of the regulations. And I wish also to mention that the establishment of the COMESA Competition Commission couldn't have succeeded without the full support by the COMESA Secretariat itself, especially more so the Office of the Secretary General. And further, the Malawian government, where we are based, we are very supportive in providing accommodation and the ground logistics, which made us become more operational. I do recall at that time the Office of the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Numbe Kumwembe, was very, very, very helpful. And we thank his office for making it easier to establish the commission in a record time.
The commission faced a number of challenges at its initial stage. The first one we can mention is that the commission was established when member states had made it clear that they were not ready to fund newly created institutions, and any new institution had to devise its own means of generating revenue for its operation. Thus, it had inadequate financial resources to implement its programs. Secondly, the Commission had inadequate staff due to budgetary constraints. Even though the organization structure provided for 33 positions, the budgetary constraints in hiring staff members and the available funds at the time could only support hiring of 5 professional staff, including the director and CEO. This meant that the head of the divisions that were hired at that time conducted the investigations, undertook administrative work, and managed the affairs of their divisions or units. Thirdly, the Commission was the first regional competition authority to start enforcing competition and consumer protection law in Africa. This meant that there were no benchmarks to refer to in the regional enforcement. The only efficiently operating supranational competition authority at the time was the European Commission. A lot of references was made to the European Commission, but it's important to note that the economic, legal, and political contexts in which the two institutions operate had stark differences, and therefore any reference to the European Commission had to be contextualized. The other element was that the Commission faced resistance by the business community and the member states on the application of the regulations and their enforceability in the member states on account of domestication. The business community were resistant to the regulation as they did not know if the regulation has the force of law in the member states. At the same time, some member states argued that they first needed to domesticate the regulations for them to be enforceable in their jurisdiction. The other element was that it was observed that there was inadequate appreciation of the regional competition enforcement regime by member states. Some member states viewed the Commission as an adversary that was infringing on their jurisdiction.
RICA works closely with the COMESA Competition Commission on investigations of mergers, restrictive business practices, and consumer protection matters that affect Rwanda and have a regional dimension. In addition, COMESA Competition Commission has been providing technical assistance and capacity building to RICA in terms of trainings of RICA staff on competition and consumer protection matters. Those trainings have not only benefited the RICA staff, but also other important stakeholders such as sector regulators, as well as consumer protection advocates in Rwanda. This is very important for RICA, which recently started enforcing competition and consumer protection law, as there is need for all stakeholders to understand the importance of such laws and support the enforcement efforts. COMESA Competition Commission and RICA also undertake joint advocacy and awareness-raising activities such as the joint commemoration of the World Competition Day and the World Consumer Rights Day. To ensure effective cooperation and collaboration between the two institutions, a memorandum of understanding was signed in December 2022 to guide future collaboration by the two institutions.
Let me attest that ours has been a beautiful journey with COMESA since the establishment in 2013. In terms of the relationship, is actually structured because we have had an MOU which we signed with COMESA in 2015, which we revised again in 2021, capturing areas of cooperation between the two institutions. In investigations, we have quite done a good job. You should realize that we are a small economy, and normally we are hit by conduct which happens from other jurisdictions, but having an impact on Malawi. The coming in of COMESA actually came as a cushion, because some of those transactions which will not even have supposed to be notified to us, we don't have extra territorial jurisdiction to capture them. COMESA has come in as an able hand to help us capture them, and they have had put in some remedies which have helped Malawi. Those remedies wouldn't have been there had it not been for helping hand of COMESA, and we are very much pleased with the relationship so far. And coming to the issues of capacity building, we start with our staff. The coming in of COMESA has exposed a good number of our staff to issues of enhancing their capacity, especially the case handlers. They have attended quite a good number of training sessions, which are actually financed and sponsored by COMESA. And also COMESA has even offered us resource persons to train our staff, and that is an achievement we don't take for granted. And beyond staff, COMESA has also helped us to train our own commissioners, whom we appoint as a body which makes decisions on our cases. For them to understand what they need to do, they need to appreciate the law as well as what is happening beyond our borders. So they have had quite a good number of trainings which have been facilitated and at times also financed by COMESA Competition Commission, and which has helped us enhance capacity of our commissioners. And apart from the commissioners, they have also helped us to sensitize our judges. We have had business journalists who have benefited from trainings conducted by COMESA, both locally and regionally.
I've enjoyed working at the Commission for the last 7 years. It involves a lot of learning through both hands-on experience gained through everyday activities, sharing of information with colleagues who have a variety of both academic, social and cultural backgrounds. It's really enjoyable to work at the COMESA Competition Commission.
I joined the Commission on 2nd January 2013. Since joining the Commission, I have grown a lot career-wise. The Commission is an organization which helps people to realize their full potential because of the activities that take place. And since January 2013, the organization itself has also grown. At first, there were just a few members of staff, but now there's a staff component of about 28 people. So being in the finance division, I tend to save a lot of people. And I'm able to handle the pressure, which I have learned to acquire over the years. And unlike other organizations, the finance function at the Commission is a bit different. Most finance functions are monotonous, but here at the Commission, it's a
you'll find that there are new challenges very often because the activities are different from year to year, from month to month. So this one brings a lot of job satisfaction. The commission is an environment where a person can grow career-wise, even in daily endeavors, because it helps you think deeply all the time. You do not procrastinate. You do not have a laissez-faire attitude. You overcome all those weaknesses. I tend to work with people from different backgrounds, from different countries. This brings in a lot of competition. It has made me work extra hard. It always keeps me in overdrive so that I should be able to catch up with my colleagues.
My work is exciting as it provides insights into industries and markets within the common market and beyond. The work is equally fast-paced and collaborating, providing that gratification that my recommendation will go into the decisions that impact positively on consumers within the common markets, and also goes into the achievement of the broader COMESA objectives. The Commission provides an environment for personal growth through avenues for upskilling and retooling, and the hiring practices at the Commission ensures diversity and inclusiveness, which brings newer perspectives, fresh ideas, and also representation across the common market.
The COMESA Competition Commission is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, 2023, signaling or marking 10 years of our operations since January 15th, 2013. It's a momentous occasion for the Commission, and I would love to share the successes that we've had in the last 10 years. The first success that we'll give here, which I think should go without mention, is that the COMESA Competition Commission is the first regional competition authority, fully functioning and operational regional competition authority in Africa. And to pride ourselves even further, we are the second functioning, fully operational supranational competition authority the world over, only second to the European Commission. Now, what are the successes that we've had in the last 10 years? There have been a number of those. The mere fact that we commenced our operations and we stamped our foot in the common market, our jurisdiction was respected, parties and other stakeholders complied with our regulations, is enough to show the success that we have. But as a result of that, the output that has come of this is that we have reviewed more than 367 mergers and acquisitions. And the review is not just for purposes of review. The review is that we've changed the way the merging parties operate in the market. We've amended some of their initial terms and conditions of their mergers, which would have been anti-competitive, to make sure that they are pro-competitive and to the benefit of markets in the common market and indeed the consumer. The other things that we have done are restrictive business practices. From inception to date, we have reviewed more than 40 restrictive business practices involving significant companies. And since this is in public domain, I think we'd be glad to mention names that we've involved. We've dealt with cases involving Coca-Cola. We've dealt with cases involving Unilever. We've dealt with cases involving AB InBev, CAF, which is the Confederation of African Football, and a number of other big players whose agreements as they relate to their market operations, we reviewed and struck out those anti-competitive clauses that would have been to the detriment of competition in the market, to the detriment of consumers, but also to the detriment of our governments in the common market, because anti-competitive practices or conduct or agreement sometimes also lead to the stifling of the growth of those markets. And once those markets are stifled, it means there's poverty that keeps on being exacerbated because economies do not grow. Most importantly also, we've not just looked at competition matters in terms of mergers and acquisitions and restrictive business practices, but we've also looked at the direct plight of a consumer. As you may know, a consumer is the biggest unit in any commerce. But again, they are the most vulnerable because the unit is composed of individuals who make decisions, who make purchasing decisions, and other decisions in the market at individual level. So they are the most fragmented and hence most vulnerable to the conduct of business players in terms of abuse and exploitation. So the Commission has deliberately focused on those. I'll be glad to tell you that from 2013 we did not focus much on consumer until 2016 when we had the very first case, and the reason was that the Commission was in its formative stages. It had limited staff in 2013 when we commenced operations, but by 2016 we thought we could start growing in understanding the subject of consumer welfare protection. By 2020 we established a fully fledged department of consumer welfare, and since that time we have dealt with a number of important cases involving consumer welfare. Among those that we've done are product recalls. You will recall, those of you who've been following what we've been doing at the COMESA Competition Commission, that there was a case involving the outbreak of listeriosis, which is a very dangerous condition, a very dangerous bacteria. If consumed by human beings, it could even lead to death. The commission swung into immediate action to make sure that our consumers in the common market were not exposed to that danger and that those products were removed from the market. So this is just one of the examples. We've dealt with a number of consumer cases that have directly protected the consumer. We've even gone ahead to tackle one of the emerging issues in consumer welfare, that being of online purchases. In one of the cases we dealt with an online purchase platform called Jumia, which is a very big platform. Those of you may not be familiar with Jumia. Its business model is like that of eBay or Amazon. So there were several terms and conditions on their website which were in violation of consumer welfare, which were very unconscionable, if I may use that term. We managed to engage Jumia and made sure that they amended those terms and conditions to the advantage and best interest of the consumer. Now, what I've spoken about so far are our technical operations, but we've had successes also in other areas. Advocacy. This is one thing where we've done a very, very good job in ensuring that all our 21 member states, they appreciate the importance and the benefits that come from the enforcement of regional competition and consumer law, if I may do that. So we've gone to all, probably with the exception of 2, we've gone to the 19 member states where we have made our advocates' presence very well known. For the 2 member states that where we've not been so far, there are other reasons beyond our control. And then also shaping policy and law. We've managed in a number of member states to shape policy and law. I'll give an example that currently we are working with Djibouti to make sure that they have a proper function in competition and consumer law there. And one reason you need to do that is that you cannot have an effective regional competition and consumer authority if you do not have effective national competition authorities, because national competition authorities are the tentacles that the regional competition authority would be using. So we've been very deliberate about that. We've helped also countries like Uganda, which is almost at the brink of having a competition law because it's now in parliament where it is being debated. But we've worked with Uganda from inception of beginning to talk about that law to the point where it is now in parliament. In fact, the COMESA Competition Commission has even gone there to directly engage with the parliamentarians on this subject. It's not only Djibouti and Uganda. I'll also talk about Eswatini and also Uganda on this subject of domestication, that the COMESA Competition Commission's advocacy role, persuasion and policy influence led to the domestication of the COMESA treaty in Uganda, COMESA treaty and the regulations, and at least the regulations in Eswatini. We are also working with Mauritius very closely, where because of our advocacy programs in Mauritius, we've ended up getting an interpretation from the state law of Mauritius that actually the COMESA competition regulations are fully effective and implementable in Mauritius. We've done so much with other member states as well. Malawi, we are helping them to change the law, where we are working together with them to change the law. And we'll continue pursuing that approach in most of these other countries or most of our member states until we achieve the objective of harmonization with the Regional Competition Authority. The other success that we've had, I think, in my view, and I would be proud to say, I think that's a very great success, are the collaborations that we have with other competition authorities in the region, but also beyond. In the region, we have deliberately engaged in memoranda of understanding with 14 member states. So even where we have the treaty and the regulations supporting our relationship, we went a step further to ensure that that relationship is efficient, and we signed 14 MOUs. Outside the region, we've signed 2 MOUs with the Regional Competition Authority of the Eurasia region, so the Eurasia Economic Commission, and also CARICOM in the Caribbean region. We've signed MOUs to ensure that we do capacity building projects together, but also cooperation in case management. Aside formal MOUs, we also have very close working relationships with our partners outside the common market, like the South African Competition Authority, the United States Federal Trade Commission, the United States Department of Justice Antitrust Section. We've had very good relationships also with the European Commission, DG Comp, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and a number of such organizations. So these collaborations are also very important because, number one, they help us to build capacity, not only of our staff at the COMESA Competition Commission, but also staff in our member states. Then number two, when there is cases that involve these jurisdictions I've mentioned, and they also involve the common market, we've worked very closely. I'll mention South Africa here, that we've worked very closely, sometimes even in looking at the remedies that should be imposed to address the market in COMESA, but also the South African market. So I think those are some of the successes that we've achieved. We look forward to the next 10 years after this phase, because progression or improvement is continuous. So we'll not just sleep today and say 10 years, these are the successes we've reached or we've arrived. No, we will strive to continue improving ourselves, and in the next 10 years what we are looking at is to amend our law to ensure that it is in line with the current emerging trends like the digital economy, our digital markets, climate change issues, and the like. So please join us at our 20th anniversary. We will invite you again, and we'll showcase our successes between 2023 and 2033. It sounds long, right? It is just coming in a short while. Thank you.